Hello, in this video I'm going to be replacing the suspension on the MX5 NB. This has gravity, I think, lowering springs on it, and it is just a bit too low, too crashy. So I've bought some Meister R Coilovers. So I managed to get hold of some ZetaCRD adjustable, height adjustable, dampening adjustable coilovers for a decent price second hand. So let's show them. So I was planning on doing this on camera, but with these not bolted to a car, to undo this lock and ring was a bit tricky. So I ended up having to use a bigger vise elsewhere because my little vise wasn't big enough. So I've unwound the shock from the bottom body near enough out, and I've lathered the threads with some copper grease, so then this way it should be nice and easy to adjust when they're on the car. So I didn't take any measurements before, which I'm now regretting, so I'm now none the wiser to how much they should be, but we'll figure it out. So I've done it for all four corners. Let's jack the car up and make a start. So in the wise words of Mighty Car Mods, first step is you need to jack up your car. So axle stands are now on. I'm going to remove the wheel and then start removing the shock. So the reason I've started with the rear one is because from memory, the rear lower shock absorber bolt, the nut is captive and they do have a tendency of breaking away. So after the headache with the 323 with the broken captive nut, I thought I'd start with the trickiest end first. So first one is the lower shock bolt. I believe this is a 17. And I think that's rounded. Already, first one. Yep. Oh, this is just the beginning. So with a 17mm spanner in here, sort of prized against the arm, I was able to get the nut out, or the bolt out. You can see just where my finger is, that is the nut on the other side. There's a cage that goes over that nut to make it captive. So yeah, I'll have a better look once the shock is out. I'm not even going to bother attempt to undo these stabilizer link or drop link bolts, nuts. So I'll cut them off. I'll cut this bottom one off first, and then we'll go inside the boot and get to the top mount. So inside the boot, you need to pull up all the carpet, the trim at the back to gain access. There's probably some trim clips here and around the side. Just grab a flat screwdriver to do that. So on the driver's side, you're now got access to the top mounts. So these are 14mm. This will be much easier with a battery powered ratchet, but there we go. Right, that's now done, so let's get back underneath the car. So we now need to push the hub down to be able to release the shock. I am just going to tap the shock just to release it from the bottom arm. Whether that worked or not, I don't know. Yeah, you should be able to just push it down. I'm going to have to go off camera to do this. Sorry about the voiceover. It's a good job that the suspension was swapped over, because the bushes have certainly seen better days. I don't know what the issue is with the spring, but for some reason it doesn't seem to be the correct length. I don't know if that's just how it's meant to be or what, but yeah, not entirely sure. So this is the pile of rust that I wire brushed off the suspension arms. So I just need to do the top one. The drop link still needs to be removed. And yeah, let's get the new coilover on and hopefully get this captive nut on. So after a lot of messing around, I ended up cutting a larger hole in the bottom of the arm because the magnet just wasn't strong enough to hold the nut in place. So that's now all tightened. I'll wait for the other side to be done before I do the drop links. The top mount nuts are now done up. So apart from the ride height, this side is ready to go. So I'll now make a start on the other side, and hopefully don't run into as many issues. With the carpet pulled up, on the passenger side there's this metal cover that covers the fuel filler neck. There's just 3 10mm nuts there that you need to remove. Right, so I've done the other side, and I've now set the height from the top of the top larger collar to the bottom of the lower locking collar. I've measured that and they're both 65mm. So what I'm now going to do is fit the drop link and then put the wheels back on, lower the car off the jack, and see how it sits. So the drop links are handed, so make sure you fit the right side to the right corner. These have a 17mm nylock nut, and then on the inside, if I try and take this off, inside is a 5mm Allen key. So I don't have, well, I've lost my 5mm Allen key, so I'm having to use a socket. So let's put this on. Try not to cross thread it. There we go. So I'll put the ratchet end of the spanner on first. Allen key in the middle. Luckily, it's using the dust shield. It's only because I'm filming with one hand. So I'm going to do this up. and do the same for the top, and then the other side, and then we can lower off the jack. So 65 in between the threads was too high. It was more like the original height with the lowering springs. So it's now 40mm, so it's 25mm lower, and there's much better. So just got to jack it back up, fit the coilover socks, and torque up the wheel bolts or nuts, and then make a start on the front. Forgot to film fitting these. I think it's now about to rain, so I sort of hurried up. So these socks, there's an elastic, not elastic, sorry, they are elastic, but there's Velcro on the edges. I've tucked mine up around the back, and they supply these large cable ties, 2 per sock, but I've just added some extra ones just to keep it away from the drive shaft. So yeah, makes it tidier, it stops getting dirt and whatnot into the threads of the coilovers. So hopefully with the copper grease and these, it should be a good barrier. They should last a while. So the front wheel is off. So looking at this, obviously drop link again. Luckily the front lower bolt is nut and bolt rather than captive, so we'll remove that. Top mount will be two nuts as well, like the rears. That might pivot down as it is really. If not, we could always either disconnect the top ball joint or perhaps the bottom ball joint. Yep, it's just down there, but we'll see how we go. So that's the drop link now removed. These have been replaced at some point. So these aftermarket ones don't have the Allen key in the middle. So I ended up having to use some long locking pliers just on the inside here behind the boot to lock onto that, so I can then undo the nut. And bottom bolt is now off. One trick that I do or tend to do is, before you remove the nut completely, leave it on, so then if you have to hit it with a hammer to knock it through, you don't damage the end of the thread. So next is the ABS sensor bracket that looks like a 10mm, and yeah, the top's now released. So yeah, making good progress. I apologise for the lack of video. I was really struggling to get this side lower, so I've ended up removing the anti-roll bar, which you can see there, because it was sort of out here, and I don't know if the top arm was hitting it, you see. So remove that, then I had to obviously remove the other side, the other strut, to then get the roll bar off. And then the driver's side lower ball joint bolt would not come undone, so then I tried doing the upper ball joint. The nut come off, but then it wouldn't split. So I've now split the boot on that, so that needs replacing at some point. Persevered, finally got it done. Both coilovers are now on both sides of the front. The coilovers must be for Mark 1 because there's no bracket for the ABS sensor anywhere. It's all smooth tube, so I'll have to cable tie that on or something. I apologise for the filthy hands. I was wearing gloves, but it kept ripping. So just need to set the coilovers to the same height either side, put the wheels back on, get on the ground and see where we are. So that's it, that's now all done. So the fronts, there's 100mm between the top collar and the bottom collar, and the rear one there's 40mm, in case anyone was wondering about the ride height. So I think this is probably almost the same height as it was on the springs, but hopefully them Adjustable dampers will help with the ride. And then the rear. Much better. So yeah, it took me a lot longer to do than I thought. There was many obstacles. I wish I filmed it all, but I think the whole video would have been about 6 hours long. I've certainly been out here all morning, and I think it's now early evening, so yeah, nightmare job done, but never mind, it's ticked off the list. Just need to get it booked in for alignment now, and hopefully it rides a bit better.